Mel Kiper Jr. comes out with his latest mock draft yesterday, 2.0, and in this one, Brock, two quarterbacks in the top 10, but no other quarterbacks in the first round. Cam Newton, he bumps up from 10 to number 3. He has them being taken by the Bills there. And then Blaine Gabbert falls from number 5 with Arizona down to number 10 with Washington, which is where Newton had been. So Newton on the rise after doing his media day. They're the only two quarterbacks in the first round, according to Mel, and he's not the only one who has it that way. What does that mean for our boy Jake Locker?
Well, I think what it means is through this process, it's a process, as we talked about today, it's a war of attrition. Who has the least amount of red flags at the end, and what the scouts are going to love with those two that you mentioned, and why Mel has them in the top 10 are their size, their measurables. Cam Newton is ridiculous at 6'6", 250. Gabbert 6'5", 230. They throw it incredibly well. I think those two right now have set themselves above the rest, and Mel has illustrated that in his mock draft. Even McShay pointed out that some of the rest of the guys' stock is starting to fall a little bit. So for me, not a total shock as we sit here. And you know what? There's 8, 9, 10, 12 weeks before the draft, and these things tend to ebb and flow and go up and down. But clearly, just the raw goods, Cam Newton, Blaine Gabbert, moving ahead of Mal and Locker.
What I still believe, though, is two guys in the first round just doesn't make sense. Not when there are 12 teams that need quarterbacks. You can't tell me one of those teams doesn't trade back in later in the first round and say, hey, Mallet may not be a first rounder.
Right.
Jake may or may not be a first rounder. But I got to have my guy, and I can't wait until pick number 25 in the second round.
I think I would be willing almost to put money on that happening. I really would, Mike, because you've seen it. It's exactly what the hometown team did here with Charlie Whitehurst. They said, you know what, Charlie's got some concerns. He's never thrown a pass, but he's 6'5". He looks the part. Yeah, there's some red flags there, but we'll take this risk. At this position, we will take this risk. For a guard, for a center, for a tight end, you won't see that happening. But you're right, there is so much need. In these quarterbacks, in 10, 12 teams are needing a young quarterback. Would not surprise me at all if a team moves up late in the first round and says, we got to have him. I'm not going to wait for him in the second.
Still about 2.5 months till the draft. A lot left to happen.